when I would hear the word unconditional love, I honestly did not know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
I know what human love was like, very conditional. But I didn't have any kind of a, like an image. I didn't know, like, well, what do you mean? Like, what is that? And then suddenly it hit me when I was listening to Ariana and she was saying unknowable and unconditional. I go, oh. It's the knowing that's the condition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dawn, you need to unmute.
I'm getting a lot of that conditional stuff from my kids right now. Like, if you don't do this, that means you don't love me. And I'm like, what? And I'm hearing, if you don't do this for me, then you don't love me. And I'm like, not in my world. And they're in their 20s, so they know more than me now. I knew everything in my 20s. It's been downhill ever since. But I just listened to it. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, although I got a new line today, and it's there's some truth to that. My husband likes, whenever he says something, he wants to hear a validation. And my girlfriend gave me that phrase tonight. There's some truth to that. And I'm like, that's the phrase that pays. There's some truth to that. I'll be saying that one a lot around here. Get me out of jail. He always wants me to agree with him. It's like, and if I don't agree with him, then he gets triggered. And I'm just like, oh my God, where are we going? So I'm like, there's some truth to that, dear.
Was true.
Right? I'm like, this is get out of jail free. I got a phrase that pays right here. Oh man, I've been looking for that one for a long time. There's some truth to that.
So Alice, I just wanted to share a phrase that Nkosi said to you during your private. Again, I want to thank you for so generously allowing these excerpts. It's such a joy. And honestly, as I said, I think it's the best thing I've put up. Every time you listen, it's fresh and new. And one of the things he said to you was, words are just sounds that seem to have a meaning. So the bird chirp, chirp, chirp is the same as this, blah, blah, blah. Same. Meaningless.
And the same as the voice in my head that goes blah, blah, blah.
Bingo.
It's label.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly, Faith. Because if you look for the owner of the story, whatever story is arising, right? That's the beauty. If you'll just look, as Nkosi instructs, you'll notice you won't be able to find the owner of the story.
I woke up this morning feeling uncomfortable and not happy, and a thought came into my head. I wish I could find something that would ground me and hold me, like something. I was just sort of like looking around. And what thought or what could I do that would hold me? And then I thought, there's nothing. So,
Right.
you know, I've been looking all my life for this something that will ground me and hold me. And then I thought, but there is nothing. So, you know, Michael and Nkosi, we all been talking about there is nothing anyway. So get used to it. There is nothing.
Faith. Now you're singing to the choir. That is music to my ears. Exactly. All those memories, all those, oh God, years and decades of me thinking back of the first girlfriend and reliving that fantasy as if it was mine. And oh my God. There's no one there. Nobody owned that. It was never mine to begin with. It was never yours to begin with. All those memories that you feel are weighting you down were never yours to begin with. And there's no you to have them anyway.
And bodies like bodies, right?
I don't understand.
Bodies like bodies.
Can you say a little more?
Well, the physical body where the feelings are felt and the emotions are felt needs another body, needs affection and warmth and comfort and validation, maybe. Yeah.
Boy, that's where I get in trouble, guys.
I'm sorry?
I said, that's where I really get into trouble
What do you mean?
because I'm on a search to find somebody to give me all that.
Yeah.
I've
But, I
given
mean,
up.
it's also giving back, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I know that I'm trying to get it.
Yeah. Does get us into trouble.
I certainly, in my dream world, I certainly believe that it comes from another person for me. And of course, the payoff is I have to make it look like I'm giving them something too. So we mutually agree that we're going to do this for one another, but it's poison because they never quite do it right for me, and they yell at me, so I must not do it right for them either. It's a crazy place to be. And I think right now we're all here not wanting something from another, just to share, and it feels so centering. It's such a nice place to be.
Yeah, good, Alice, because the imagination says there are others. That's why you can never connect with another.
Can you say a little bit more, Michael?
Sure. As a me, that's what I'm trying to do. My whole life, as a me, was looking for a woman, someone that understood Michael, that could see things the way Michael saw them, that we had some kind of connection, all this. And, you know, like you were saying, Alice, it just puts such pressure on the other person to provide something that they simply are, it's impossible for them to give you, and vice versa. You would need separation to be real.
think that's where that unconditional love comes in, you know? I mean, we think about, Christians talk a lot about love, right? It's sort of this pie in the sky thing that lots of Christians talk about while they're stabbing each other in the back and conquering nations or whatever. But, you know, to really get to true unconditional love, you have to be there to understand there is no difference between you and another. And that's where, you know, you have that really beautiful appreciation that goes beyond, you know, what somebody else is doing or saying, and all of it, that you can really appreciate the entire dance.
Nice. Yeah, you're right. It's right. It's wordless.
I was just talking about Christianity, Nkosi. Unconditional love.
Well, I gave up religion for Lent.
My big takeaway from the video you put out from this week with Nkosi and myself was to continually being reminded that this character Alice is talking to another character over here. And I put myself in situations, they're on the webinars in different places where I see this with myself practicing. I'm a character and they're a character. I mean, it takes practice. I mean, because I just see that so much when I'm triggered, I think I'm a character and they're a character. And that whole idea of really that's what we are, just a character acting out, is helpful. It's very, very helpful because that's true. And in the absence of the character, there's just this. I mean, even that, I guess, is this. The characters. Now I confuse myself. I'm sorry, I get so identified, I confuse myself.
Did you see the post of Nkosi's I posted today in the non-duality community, Alice?
I thought I read all of them, so I probably did.
Yeah, it was exactly what you just asked. It was so perfect because he was saying that the characters don't belong to anyone.
That's right. Yes, that's. Yeah, I thought he took that straight from our session.
You're beautiful. Yeah, it was such a beautiful session. They're so precious.
Characters. Yeah.
So that's the freedom for all the characters to express once you see that they're just unconditionally doing what they're doing. Well, all right. So I'll share one little game that kind of came to me. It's called the Says Who game. So whatever story you're believing, if you can, of course, if you're completely believing it, you won't. This will not happen properly. But at some point, you may be able to say, get a little bit of space and say, says who? Whose story are you saying right now? Who's the speaker? I'll be quiet until. Who is saying that? Who's speaking these words?
That's one of my favorite Rumi poems. Who says these words that come from my mouth?
Hmm.
There's a YouTube video on that poem that I've listened to many times. And anyway, I love that poem. It's like you don't know what's going to be said until it comes out of your mouth.
Who says that?
No. You know, lights on, nobody's home.
There's some truth to that.
But I do know things that will trigger my husband. So I'm conscious of, you know, what not to say, because I like having a peaceful home. And I practice conscious speech when I'm around him.
Joan, you don't have a mouth. That's the thing here. The body has a mouth. Joan, the character, the imaginary one in the imaginary story, has a mouth and a husband and a million other things. They're all in the story. Well, what do you have? You don't have anything. When you have things, then you start to be imaginary, and then you have imaginary problems because you're in the imaginary story. But that's not you. That's not real. The only thing that's real is this. This doesn't have any story, doesn't have a mouth, doesn't have an experience, doesn't have conditions. It's too present. It's too this. It doesn't stop to pick up a story.
Two already. I just want to get a couple of points tonight. That's all.
That was great. 2 already.
We all have this habit. We keep going back into this story because it's so attractive. But it has nothing to do with anything. It's just showing up.
It's the story that never even existed. Yeah, it's all imagined by no one. No words are just sounds that appear to have a meaning. And words themselves don't stick to this. Whatever word may appear, it doesn't describe this. It's just a sound appearing in this. No word can describe this, because this is beyond words. So whatever word that seems to appear is more like a bass hooting. Is more like a wind blowing. They don't describe this. They're just sounds. So no word sticks to this. So you can call this anything. You can call this God, consciousness, and a microscopic creature that walks around. It's everything. You know, there are no separation. There is no separation here. There's just everything. Even what seems to be an insect flying around, that's everything. There is no insects flying around. There's just everything. So there are no individuals. There is no you and me in them. There's just this. And no one can know this because already there's no one. There's just this even before seeking arises. There's just this even before the question appear. All is this. There's just everything, wholeness, everything. So no one can teach this. No one can know this. No one can get this because there's only this. So whatever is being said, no matter which direction it may seem to take, it doesn't stick to this. There is nothing that can be said that is not this. Because everything appears in this as this. So there's no one here, there's just this, making a sound that seems to have a meaning. A sound that's a meaning was imposed in it. So all is this, all is well, because there's only this. Nobody's in trouble because there's nobody, there's just this. Nobody's suffering here. Nobody's sick here. Nobody's living in poverty here because there's no one, there's just this. This is heaven. This is perfection. This is unconditional love. Even what seems to be imperfection is perfection. So all is this. Seeking is not for anyone, doesn't belong to anyone. All these characters, they are just everything. There are no separate characters, there are no individuals here. There's just everything. They just appear at once as everything. There are no individual characters. So it doesn't matter if the character seems to be bad or seems to be good. It's all this. And yet there are no good and bad characters because it's all this. There's no wrong and right to this. Because there's no one here. There's no one to be wrong or right. It's all this. This cannot be reached because there's no one to reach it. Trying to reach this appears in this. Getting this appears in this. Not getting this appears in this. It's also this. This and its appearances are one. Nothing appears outside of this. So right now there is a black ant that seems to be walking on my hand. It's everything. It's walking around, it's moving around. It's not separate from this. It's wholeness, appearing as an ant, moving on this hand. So all is this. This cannot be found because it was never lost. And there's no one to find this because there's already no one. There's no death because no one will ever die. That is just a thought appearing in this, like any other thoughts. So there's no death here. Who will die? Because there's no one here. It's just this. All is this. Says who? Nobody.
So Nkosi, I had this discussion with a friend of mine at lunch today, and I noticed myself later kind of ruminating about it and thinking that maybe I hurt the friendship by asking her a particular question, etc. And so even that this whole afternoon was this, or is this, how could it be different? All those things arose. And now I seem to be ruminating a bit. And I guess that would be a message that I think that I'm able to do something, or that I'm a person that's able to control something. That's where I always get stumped up with with this stuff. I don't really see it as being all of this 100%. There's a part in there I think that I own, that I did, that I control. And as I say, all those three things would be part of this too. It just gets hard and confusing, and maybe I'm trying to figure something out here.
Confusion and that character appears in this. So that character, no matter which direction it may seem to take, it doesn't belong to anyone. And that confusion doesn't belong to you because there's no you, there's only this. It's just confusion. It's just a character that doesn't belong to anyone. So it's okay. No matter which form or shape it may seem to appear, it doesn't belong to you because already there's no you, there's only this. So allow everything to be as it is. This does not suppress anything. This does not block anything from expressing because everything is this. This just doesn't mind.
You don't have any choice. You don't have any choice but to let everything be as it is, because it is anyway, right? What choice do you have?
There's no one there to have. There's no one there to have a choice. Already.
Yeah.
No one decides anything. Whatever the character may seem, whatever decision the character may seem to take, it's just this taking a decision. There's no character who's deciding anything. So all is this. That's it.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, the already part is just a killer.
Already this.
Yeah, there's already not a me there. I mean, what are you gonna do? So the nothing sticks part that Nkosi talked about, meaning this doesn't mind whether there's a feeling of a me there or not.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, in a way, Peter, it's like the same as saying, oh, I feel like a me, having that thought, or, oh, I don't feel like a me, having that thought. Both are arising in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one that really hurts is I shouldn't have a me, and here I'm having it again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Or not having it already.
Which always is this already, all the time.
And the character can never understand that. Already makes no sense to the character. But that's the character's problem. You don't need to worry about that.
I just want to say that the unconditional love part includes everything. Nothing is left out. It's all of it. As Nkosi says, even what seems to be an exception. Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
I just want to say that it simply seems for me, I just need to hear this over and over and over again. And snippets of it seem to appear in my life, but it's a matter of deepening and taking it in. And it all makes sense to me. That's why I'm here. But that's, but who does it make sense to? But I'm helpless other than exposing myself to what is being said.
Says who?
Okay, Michael, I see you and I are going to get into it. Good question. Good question.
Oh my God. So beautiful, you guys.
Yeah.
It's quicksand. You say anything, it's quicksand.
I don't know. I just kept cracking myself up every time a story would come up. Says who? And just wait. Show yourself, storyteller.
Thank you. That's helpful, really.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. Appreciate each and every one of you. Nkosi, so great, brother. Thank you so much. We really appreciate and love you. And I'll get this up on YouTube in the next 24. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Everyone.
So long.
Bye.